They say revenge is a dish best served cold, and that's exactly what Tennessee had today with a win over number 5 Florida right here in Knoxville. A big revenge victory. Florida had beaten Tennessee by 30 points in Gainesville. Well, Tennessee turned around and got a 20-point win over the Gators right here in Knoxville by a score of 64-44. Ryan, not only was this a big win for Tennessee in a lot of different ways, but I think the main story is they did it shorthanded.
Yeah.
Zakai Ziegler did not play in this game due to a knee injury, while Igor Milicic Jr. missed the game due to illness. So not just was Tennessee down 2 of their big scorers, but they had to do so with the pieces that they had, 7 players available for Tennessee. And really, when you put everything together, a phenomenal win for Rick Barnes and his team.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think Rick Barnes said it, one of the more rewarding wins in their time, in his time at Tennessee and his staff's time at Tennessee, when you consider being undermanned, you consider losing by 30 in Gainesville, you consider that they lost their last 2 games and they badly needed a win tonight. So, a true college basketball result. Everything would have pointed to Florida winning this game comfortably.
The College Game Day host pointed to Florida winning this game. I don't know about comfortably, but yeah, I did see that making its way around social
Florida,
media.
So, and in Tennessee, not only I wasn't surprised at all that they won. Because of that, you kind of going in like this is the classic college basketball result. But for them to win as handedly as they did was surprising to me. So just a fantastic effort from Tennessee, an incredible effort. All 7 guys that played came up big. I thought almost all of those 7 guys played really, really well, too, within their role. And just a great win for Tennessee.
Yeah, by the way, this is Ryan Shumpert. I'm Rick Butler here with the RTI Reaction Show. God, I kind of lost my train of thought right there. But basically what we saw here today was that you used a great word in your 3 takeaways article, which you can go find over on RocketUpInsider.com. Tennessee really mucked it up with Florida in the first half. They had them. What were the ways that you saw where just Tennessee was kind of forcing the game to play at their own will and their own pace?
Yeah, I think, well, one, they just ran – this isn't any different from having guys out, but they just had a lot of long possessions and shot the ball late in the shot clock. They got a bunch of offensive rebounds, especially in the first half. That was a big source of their offense. And they just played with less full court pressure to kind of try to speed Florida up. I thought they turned it into more of a half court game, and that was the path to them winning this one. Florida, 3rd in adjusted offensive efficiency in the country. They play at a very high rate, so they score a ton of points. Their previous low in points this season was 70. They'd only scored less than 84 times all year before tonight, and you said it, they scored 44. So 20 points less than their previous season low. Tennessee turned this into a game that Florida just has not been conditioned or is not accustomed to playing in. They made it really physical, and like you said, like I said, they mucked it up.
There you go. They mucked it up in the first half, but then Tennessee, so Tennessee had Florida off balance, had them kind of reeling a little bit heading into halftime, and then Tennessee just came out and basically tabletopped them for the final 20 minutes of the game. Tennessee outscores Florida 40-23 in the final 20 minutes, and that's a lot of the reason that you got to that 64-44 victory for Tennessee. One of the things that we also noted after the game there in your instant takeaways article were just the discrepancy of the points in the paint. Tennessee 34, Florida 14. And that was sort of a little bit of a reverse from what happened in the 30-point blowout in Gainesville just a couple of weeks ago, right?
Yeah, I think that one was 40-14 Florida advantage. And it kind of goes with the rebounding numbers. So the rebounding numbers weren't quite as jarring in this one. But Tennessee found offense inside, some of that on putbacks. I thought Felix Okpara, he got 2 quick fouls and was a little limited on minutes. I think played right around 23-24, but I thought he was really good offensively when he was in there. Jordan Gainey, even Jemai Meshack found a way to get into the paint some. And score there. So, Tennessee's been searching for more rim offense. They did not shoot the ball well from 3 today. And Rick Barnes talked about it after the Kentucky game of, you trying to get the defense moving side to side. So even if they're packing it in, that can open up some lanes, that can open up some rebounds where you have the defense moving and it's not just, all right, you already have the man between the defender, between the offensive player to box out and rebound.
Sure.
I think you saw those things. One thing going back, you mentioned the second half. I mean, in the run in the first half, I thought that was the big thing I'd point to. Against Kentucky on Tuesday night, Tennessee ends the first half on a really strong run, took the lead in a first half where they really had trailed the entire time, and then Kentucky came out really quick in the second half and immediately grabbed that control of the game. This was the exact opposite. It's a 6-0 run in the first, minute 40 seconds of the second half, and Tennessee pushed what was, I believe, a 3-point halftime lead to 9 points really quickly, and they just never looked back. I mean, the big shot, Chetwin, this game-changing sequence, or at least an inflection point. Darlington Dubar blocks a shot. Cade Phillips blocks a shot. Jordan Gainey throws it ahead. Cade Phillips, and he hits one not the Cade Phillips, Chaz Lanier from about 30 feet
Right.
on the left wing gave Tennessee, I think, their second lead of the game by 2 points. At that point, they never trailed again. So now it's, I think, about 90 seconds left in the first half. So that was a big turning point in the game, and Tennessee just kept their foot on the gas.
You look at some of the numbers from this game, both offensively and defensively. Starting defensively, look, Florida had 8 players play more than just about 15 minutes or more in this game. Obviously, the starters were up in the 30s or so. But at the end of the game, Tennessee only allowed one of their opponents, thank you, to score more than 10 points or score into double digits. Walter Clayton Jr. had 10 points. Everybody else for Florida was stuck in single digits. On the flip side, though, for Tennessee offensively, Tennessee had 3 double-digit scores. Chaz Lanier with 19, Jordan Gainey with 16, and then Felix Okpara with 10. Tennessee won the rebounding battle, which was very impressive. But I thought one of the keys to this game for Tennessee, one of the reasons why they were able to feed off the crowd so well and make that such an impactful part of the game, was that Tennessee had about half the turnovers less than Florida. Florida had 13 turnovers in the game. Tennessee only had 7. Not only is that Tennessee not giving up the ball, but, man, when you saw Florida have a turnover, Tennessee did something with it, especially in transition. This place got loud. I thought it was significantly more of a home court advantage than Tennessee had against Kentucky last week. So that was big for Tennessee to kind of get that energy from the crowd, be able to use it, but the turnovers were a big part of that.
Yeah, that is a great point. And I want to say about the least amount of turnovers they've had all year. So they just played within the structure of the offense a lot. It didn't seem like they had to force a ton. At least they did a good job of not forcing until they had to force, late in the shot clock. Yeah. And Jordan Gainey, I think, deserves a ton of credit. I mean, you've said his numbers. We talked about him briefly, but the combination of setting Tennessee up well, getting Tennessee into the offense, facilitating some stuff while also scoring was super important, super impressive. And, to me, Tennessee wasn't going to win this game if they didn't get at least solid showings from Chaz Lanier and Jordan Gainey, and both of them played very well and were a big part of the victory.
This was a big one for Tennessee, big one for Rick Barnes and his staff, big one for the players. Obviously, there was talk throughout the week of just what was Tennessee going to do after this 2-game slide. How are they going to be able to bounce back? We talked it on the RTI press pass a little, without trying to be too hyperbolic, a little bit of a sink or swim game for Tennessee as they move into the back half of the SEC schedule. Tennessee passed this test with flying colors. Yes, there might have been some offensive spurts from here and there, but that's sort of Tennessee. That's what they do, especially when they're shorthanded as they were today. Really muck up the defense, get their opponent off balance, get them in a very uncomfortable position, and then really just kind of assert their will. And that's how Tennessee finished out the game. Any other kind of closing thoughts from you about this 20-point contest for Tennessee?
Well, I think to that point of it being a really big win for sure, and then I'd say the need to what happens next for Sakai. No structural damage when he had an MRI last night is what Rick Barnes said, but still kind of uncertain in the day-to-day aspect of it. And, it's a line I've heard coaches say many a times, Rick Barnes has said it, that it's easier to win one game, a lone game without a key player than you might think. But, as you go on further and further and teams prepare more and more, those losses or not having your being fully healthy becomes a bigger deal. So huge for Tennessee today. In two manageable games next week, they really need to win at home against Missouri and at Oklahoma. So it'll be big to see what his status is, Ziegler's status is for that. Milicic, like you said, just illness. I'm sure he'll be back on Wednesday.
Don't go anywhere. Stay tuned to Rocky Top Insider throughout the week as Ryan and I will keep you updated with everything Tennessee basketball going on, news, notes, and coverage. You can follow Ryan at rshump00. You can follow myself at Rick_Butler. Otherwise, number 8 Tennessee snaps a 2-game slide with a big 20-point 64-44 win over number 5 Florida right here in Knoxville, getting a little bit of revenge off of a 30-point loss in Gainesville earlier in the season. This was a big one for Tennessee. Go read about it more over on RockyTopInsider.com. Thanks for making it to the end. We'll see you back for the next one.